Hello and welcome to the F&O Show on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Darshan Mehta.
Good morning, Darshan. I am Agam Akil, and here are the top headlines at this hour. Markets open, fresh lifetime highs, tracking positive global cues. Nifty hits 10,680, India VIX marginally cools off. And open interest in IFCI and Dish TV surges after traders take fresh positions in their respective futures. TCS is among the top Nifty losers after reporting a weaker than expected growth in the BFSI segment in the third quarter. And Infosys will announce its third quarter earnings today. The country's largest software service provider may report a drop in profit due to seasonality. Those are your top headlines, but Darshan, what are the markets looking like right now?
Yeah, at this point of time, we are trading at record highs, so that's something that is good. Let's take a look at the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. So there seems to be decent open interest built up on both the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, indicating that there are fresh long positions that are being taken. Almost 11% open interest built up on the Bank Nifty, so that seems to be outperforming the Nifty at this point of time. Now, if you take a look at where positions are being built, 10,500 and 10,600 is where the maximum open interest is there on the call side. So there is enough put writing that is seen on these levels. So 10,500, 10,600 and 10,700. And if you take a look at which are the number of shares that have been added today, the open interest dispersion chart, so that will give an indication that there is more open interest built up that are being seen at levels of 10,500, 10,600 and even at 10,700. So there seems to be enough traction that's happening on the Nifty, which should support the move for the Nifty going ahead, and solid support will be seen at the Nifty at the 10,600 mark. So that's the general trend that we're seeing as far as the stocks are concerned, as far as the index is concerned. But what are the stocks indicating?
Sure, Darshan. So as you mentioned, we've seen some amount of traction coming in stock futures. So let's pull up that list in which you have seen a considerable increase in open interest. And as we've also mentioned in the headlines, we've seen Dish TV looking at a 13.5% increase in OI, whereas the stock has been on a decline of near 7%. This, of course, is on account of the fact that Videocon could be, facing some proceedings, and the merger could be in trouble, and there could be some issues with respect to that possible merger, which is why Dish TV has seen a substantial amount of shorts building in there right now. We have Sun TV, which is followed by that, but in Sun TV we have fresh longs building in. Of course, 10.5% increase in open interest. So the longs there. SRF is the other counter, which is looking at a considerable increase in open interest, nearly 10% longs there as well. Gen Irrigation and IFCI. IFCI, do remember that it had moved out of the F&O ban, and following that, we have seen another 9% increase in open interest. The stock is up around 3.5%, so longs building in there. Now let's pull up that list where we've seen some amount of unwinding. And again, we won't see too much change except for GSPL, which moved into the F&O ban yesterday. A slight decline in open interest of as much as 2%. That's followed by Mindtree, Godrej Industries and NIT Technologies. NIT Technologies, remember, was extremely active yesterday. There were a lot of longs building in. So I suspect there is some amount of longs unwinding in today's day of trade, though not too much to speak for when it comes to a decline in open interest. And Maruti Suzuki is the other counter. Well, again, marginal decline in open interest. So on the whole, fairly evenly spread. But when it comes to the big momentum, it lies with the media stocks like Dish TV and Sun TV, Darshan.
Yeah, that's right. But before we get the guest on the show, here's a quick reminder. If you have any queries regarding futures and option market, you can call us on 022 4540 4141 or write to us on Twitter, Facebook with the AskBQ hashtag. Okay, let's welcome our F&O experts for today. Amit Gupta of ICICI Securities and Abhijit Phatak of Define Edge Solutions join us on the show. Abhijit, to you first. The Nifty is showing enough traction at this point of time. Huge amount of put writing is seen at levels of 10,700 also. What's your indication of the zone that the Nifty will trade in, and what ideally would be a breakout level on the Nifty now?
Good morning, Darshan. I don't think this rally has more legs from here, because 10,700 to 10,730 is a very strong resistance area, which is a channel resistance and a very long-term channel resistance. So only a close above 10,750 on the spot will act as a breakout, but even that I doubt. I feel longs should be cautious at this stage and trail closely, or maybe even book, or maybe even buy puts of 10,700 or 10,600. I am expecting a pullback.
All right, Abhijit, I know that you've spoken about the fact that you need to be cautious. The other very critical factor, perhaps at this point in time, was the Nifty put-call ratio because it moved above 1.7. What are your observations from your experience whenever the Nifty moves above the mark of 1.7? Is there anything that's critical that you need to keep an eye on, or is just one of the many other variables that are just a part of the fact whenever the indices go up?
Yeah, that put call ratio is at an extreme, and that indicates very overbought levels, and that is one more reason why I am being cautious, because it's not just the put call ratio, it is along with that the Nifty level, which is like I said, it's the long term resistance, channel resistance. So both these put together are ringing a bell that the longs need to be cautious.
What about the Nifty Bank? The PCR there is not at elevated levels. That seems to be showing more traction than the Nifty at this point of time. Would you share a similar view of consolidation or correction on the Nifty Bank, or probably there your view is different?
No, there also, in fact, Nifty Bank has been underperforming Nifty quite a bit, and there again decisive close above 25,800 is needed, in fact even 25,900, and that also looks unlikely. So again, even in Bank Nifty it might hover between this range of 25,500 to 25,800 for a few days.
All right, then let's shift our focus to the options corner, and this is where we get you exclusive option strategies, not only in the benchmarks, perhaps on stocks as well. So, well, Abhijit, I'll come back to you on this one. What are you recommending when it comes to employing options on the benchmarks?
On Nifty, I would advise a naked put by maybe 10,600 near 50 or maybe 10,700 near 80 with a stop loss of 20-25 rupees lower, and hold it for next week, and I am expecting 10,650 or maybe even 10,600 to come next week sometime.
Okay, and what kind of anything on the Nifty Bank that any kind of option strategy if you can share on the Nifty Bank?
Selling a 26,000 call with a stop loss of 25,800 on a closing basis, that can pay well for the next week. 26,000 call short.
All right, so that's the view on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. Okay, now I want to go ahead and address some of the key stocks once again, which are buzzing in trade today. So I do want to pull up something like a Dish TV. If we can take a look at what Dish TV is doing right now, as you can see, it is on a decline of as much as 7%. Its open interest has increased as much as 14% right now. If we can also get an idea of what Dish TV has done over the past 1 week or the past 1 month, or perhaps even the past 3 months. It's been a volatile stock. A lot of it is on account of its ongoing, merger with Videocon, which doesn't seem to close, and it's currently hit a little bit of a roadblock there. So as far as 3 months ago, we've seen only about 8%. This is after we've seen a cut of nearly 7% in today's day of trade. So like I said, it has been extremely volatile for Dish TV, and I'm sure that a lot of traders out there will also have will have faced a lot of problems in terms of trading. Abhijit, if I can come to you on Dish TV and I can question you on this one. The stock today is, of course, declining on account of fundamentals, but there is also the technical aspect. So how would you read Dish TV on the back of technicals and the kind of cues that you're getting from the futures and options space? And if one were to enter into it, would you recommend buying, selling, or avoiding it?
Dish TV had a good support near 82, 83 futures, which has broken decisively. In fact, it has opened below 83 in the morning itself. And now the support lies near 75 to 77 band. So maybe if one wants to take a risk, he can buy near as close to 77. Right now it is 78.4 and the low is 77.3. So if it goes back towards the low, one can buy with a stop loss below 75. But that is for someone who is really interested in going long in Dish TV. But I would not advise it.
What about SRF? I'm seeing that there is enough open interest build up, almost 10%. The stock is up almost 2%. Does this have the wheels to go ahead?
Yes, SRF on a close above 1985, that is very critical. If it closes above 1985 future, it can go and cross 2000 also in the coming days. SRF is looking good.
All right. Of course, the other counter is Sun TV, and that again is buzzing. Let's also pull up what Sun TV has done over the previous 3 months and over the previous 1 month. I do want to address how the movement has been for Sun TV. First of all, in today's day of trade, of course, is looking at about a near 10.5% increase in open interest. But if you can pull up the charts for its performance, there you have it. Near 34% increase in the last 3 months. Let's also take a look at what Sun TV has done over the last 1 month to get you an idea of what it did over the previous expiry. So it's been on a constant rise. And again, Sun TV has moved up by as much as 20% over the last 1 month or so. This is partially in January and majority in the month of December. This has not been as volatile as Dish TV. In today's day of trade, of course, as I mentioned, it's moving up by as much as 2.2% and open interest increasing by as much as 10.5%. Abhijit, your call on Sun TV, we have seen a lot of momentum in the recent times. Do you expect it to move further up, or do you think that it's reached some sort of fatigue right now, and would you advise anyone to avoid the stock right now?
Sun TV is a very bullish chart, and as long as it is above 1040, 1050 futures, it is right now 1068. I wouldn't be surprised if it crosses 1100 or maybe even up to 1120 in the coming days, as long as it is above 1040, 1050 futures. So that should be the stop loss for the longs, and one should hold longs for 1100, 1120 target.
Okay, Abhijit, we are getting in some viewer queries, and it's time to address some of the queries that have come in. Girish Kumar writes to us on Facebook. He has 2 lots of KPIT Tech at 203.50 and 1 lot of Chennai Petro at 440.40. Abhijit, he's asking your advice. What should he do now?
KPIT, I mean, because of this TCS gap down, I would be cautious, and I would suggest to use a stop loss below today's low. Because of the results, it can react, and it is a bullish chart, but he should protect his position by using the stop loss.
What level would you recommend a stop loss?
Today's low.
Today's low, and Chennai Petro, he is long at 440.40.
Chennai Petro has a very good support at his buying level, so he can use that as a stop loss, and if it closes above 450, then that can have a very good momentum. So he can use the stop loss below 440, maybe 438, 439, and hold it.
Okay, so Girish, Abhijit is indicating for KPIT, keep the days low as the stop loss, and for Chennai Petro 440 as the stop loss. This stock has some bit of traction. Also, Tanmay Jadhav writes to us, Abhijit, and he's written to us on YouTube. He has Tata Elxsi 1050 call at rupees 16.25. He wants to know, what can be done ahead of the earnings now.
Here again, because of these IT results, I'm a bit cautious, because they have given a good run up in the recent past. So, and especially after results, it's very difficult to judge what will happen to the stock. So he can hold it with yesterday's low as the stop loss and hold it. But then I would prefer if he books it today, before the results.
Tata Elxsi has had a very interesting move in the recent times, and we've had a lot of analysts suggest a long on Tata Elxsi. But, we spoke to a couple of analysts yesterday as well, and they were also of the opinion that it has run quite substantially in the near term, and caution must be advised. So your stop losses, and for those who are long already a lot earlier, your trailing stop losses should be kept with a lot of confidence. And in any case, currently trading at around 1,046. So, we just have to wait and watch as to where Tata Elxsi moves in. That said, we also have Swastik Upadhyay, who writes to us on Facebook, and he has the Maruti 9700 call at 97, and he wants to know what the target and stop loss can be. Let's pull up the futures of Maruti first, if we can. That's the 9700 call, currently trading at 102. So he's making a little bit of a profit, but let's also take a look at the futures. So now Maruti has come off quite substantially from the levels of around 9,500, 9,600, right now at around 9,498. Again, the stock has moved up by as much as 1.4%, but there's very little change in open interest. So, well, perhaps a little bit of a decline. So, Abhijit, what's your call on Maruti Suzuki? How do you view traction? It has come off to a certain extent. Would you initiate longs, and what can Swastik do with his call of 9,700 call?
Yeah, Maruti has been correcting quite a bit ever since it went near 10,000 and has corrected to its support near 9350. And this support can act quite well for it to go up again. And he can use yesterday's low, which is 70 on, I think 73 on the 9700 call as the stop loss. And I expect that call to go towards 110. And on a close up of 115, that call can go to even 130, 140.
Okay, Abhijit, I don't know what his name is, but he calls himself Red Bear and he writes to us on YouTube. He has two Nifty lots of 10,600 put, which he bought yesterday. He hasn't indicated what price he bought it, but he wants to know if he can hold it till next week. So seems to be pretty bearish on the markets. What do you suggest?
Yeah, well, actually, I'll give you the answer in a different way. What I'm looking at is a level of 140, 145 on the 10,600 call. I think today's high was 140.65. So as long as 140 to 150 on the 10,600 call is not breached on the higher side, he can hold the put. And like I said, I expect it to come back towards 10,650 or 600 next week. So you can use maybe 30 or 35 rupees as a stop loss for this put.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the next query then. And this one comes from Aurobindo Panda, who writes to us on Facebook. And he wants to get a view on Aurobindo Pharma January futures. Let's pull up Aurobindo Pharma. Let's see what it's doing right now and where it's currently trading at in terms of its futures. So absolutely flat in its underlying. It's looking at around 676. That's its price right now. And in terms of open interest too, not too much to speak for. In terms of today's highs and lows, we have Aurobindo Pharma. Well, it's made a high of 769 and it's made a low of 673, beg your pardon, and a high of 679. So, well, again, it's very, very range bound. Abhijit, what can he do with his position? He doesn't have a position, but he does want to get an idea of what can be done with Aurobindo Pharma right now. What would you advise?
Aurobindo is range mode between 665 and 690, and it needs a close above 690 on the futures. In fact, preferably 700 for it to rise or get momentum. So he should wait either for a close above 690 or buy on the lower side near 670 with a stop loss of 670, and then see what happens near 690.
Abhijit, there's a query on Vedanta. Rojan Mehta writes to us on YouTube. He's bought Vedanta futures at 333.50. So clearly at this point of time, he is making money. What is he asking? Should he hold on or book the profit that he's made?
Vedanta has been sideways and not showing momentum. But then if it closes about 340, then Vedanta can go towards maybe 345, 350, and he should hold with it with a stop loss of 332.
All right, so those are some of the views coming in Vedanta. All right, now we have Amit Gupta joining us. Hi, Amit. Thanks for joining us. If you can hear us, well, let me just start off with your expectations on the benchmark indices and what is your option strategy that you play when it comes to these benchmarks.
See, what we have observed from the options segment, that after the Gujarat election, when Nifty came above 10,400 levels, the highest put base, which was supposed to be at 10,000 before, now it came up to 10,400. And now in the run up to budget, that highest base has come up to 10,500. And that is only 100 or 150 points lower. So that is how the market is picking up the momentum. If you look at the call writers positions or the highest call base, it is not near. It is only at 11,000 strikes since the start of this particular series. So if I have to, sum it up, that means the support, the major support is near 10,500 and the target remains 11,000 for this particular series. And that is why if you look at certain underperforming sectors, So they have started performing, because whatever positional shorts were there, we are clearly seeing, the closure of short positions in those particular segments. So I think in the coming 15 days, it is a right, trading opportunity to pick up those segments, whether it is from capital goods or cement or some other spaces where we have the shorts. Start going long there, you will make money.
So Amit, which are the stocks that you're recommending for the near term now?
Yeah, so we have identified two stocks, one from the pharma space, because IT and pharma spaces were quite laggard. Obviously, the shorts were there in both of these spaces, and we have clearly seen before the technology results announcement, the short covering in that particular space. I think pharma is very much due still. Granules is one of those stocks which has remained quite resilient. If I have to, take in the descending order after Biocon, it is granules in the F&O segment which has remained quite resilient, because in the last 1.5 years, when it traded in the range of 110 to 150, during this period, most of the pharma stocks, they had a very high beating, but it remained above 110. So now, whosoever actually went short in this, because still the quantum is high in the short side, but the cash buying has supported the stock. So now what we are observing, that short covering has started in the stock. It closed near 146, 147. Our view is it is moving towards 165 at least. So one can form the long positions and look for that target. Another one is Colgate from the FMCG space, because FMCG, I think ruler push has to be there in the coming budget. So Colgate is one of those stocks which is related to that particular segment, and the stock has not performed much. It has remained near 1100. It had a very crucial support, which was a previous breakout at 1030. It again and again found support from those levels, and I think this is another case where the positions are heavy on the short side, because one reason which goes, one thing which goes quite frequently with Colgate, it is losing the market share. But if you look at the last 1 year, that has come down by 1.5%, the market share of Colgate, but it still remains around 54%, which is still very much high. So my sense is that the short positions are going to be closed. It has already started. The stock has started giving closing above 1100 levels, and it is moving towards 1180 or 1190. So you can initiate the long positions in this stock also.
Okay, Amit, I do have a follow-up question on granules. Because we have seen such a large move, we've had questions coming in and asking whether or not there can be options employed, and whether or not you can buy something like a 150 or 155 call option. And in that case, if you were to advise them to go ahead, what would be the time span? Because of course the option then eventually will lose out on the theta value. So could you also give us a call on possibilities of options then?
See, I think better remain with the future, because you rightly said you are already on 11th and 12th of the month, and 25th is the expiry. So in that case, there may be some time erosion near expiry, and there has to be a lot of thrust in the stock price to make money in the buying option positions. But if you have to go, take the ATM call option only. The stock was near 147, 146. You can buy 150 call, wait for a week. If the momentum starts coming above 150, you can still hold on the position. And then I think around 157, 156 for this expiry, you can book profits. But my sense is, if you are in futures, you can still roll the positions to the next series. And in that case, 165 kind of targets can also be met.
Abhijit, what are the stocks that you're recommending for today?
I have one long and one short. One can buy Tata Communications, Tatacom futures near 675, 680 with a stop loss of 669. And it can go towards 695 and maybe even cross 700 towards 720 in the coming days. And one short is Bata India. Right now it is 754. So with a stop loss of 760, one can go short for a target of 740, 735.
All right, so some interesting views coming in there. One long and one short from Abhijit as well. But we've run out of time, so we're going to call it a day, at least on the F&O Show today. With that, I'd like to thank both our experts, Abhijit as well as Amit, for joining us and taking us to their views. But it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. Lots more lined up, so stay tuned into Bloomberg Quint.